And a welcome here to the show. I love technology so very much. We were trying to bring you through the intro, and it was trying to play some type of remix to the intro. So, welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we have plenty set up for you here today inside of Where Sports Meets Life on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, both backslash Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. A lot of great stuff coming up here on the show. You know what we do on a Monday. It is a Murph Monday. So Murph will be joining me, DT and Murphy, here with you where sports meets life. We'll be bringing you through everything that's going on here in the world of sports this morning and the topics that we have that we're going to be focusing in on. So we'll be starting things off with the PGA Tour, speaking on the golfing world. We'll go on from golf into the Major League Baseball realm, and then we'll jump into the NFL draft with it being, believe it or not, folks, just 3 days, a little over 3 days away, because it starts Thursday night. So a little over 3 days away from us. You know that last week, and you can go back and watch and listen to my NFL draft coverage. And of course, you can get it on all of these channels. You can go to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And when you do that, you will find my coverage of the NFL draft. Every single team, all 32 NFL franchises, I give you team needs for each franchise, starting in the AFC, moving to the NFC, and in both sides of the NFL, bringing you north, south, east, and west. So you will get full coverage of my analysis of what each team needs going into the NFL draft. And today we're going to continue the draft conversation, and we're going to show off some sports cards as I just came from GG Cards and Breaks latest trade night, which happened at the Wildcat Sports Pub, where I had the opportunity, and I want to thank Danny Tome and Josh Gideon, the opportunity to honor, with a moment of silence and some words, for Syracuse police officer Michael Jensen and Onondaga County Sheriff's Deputy Lieutenant Michael Husak. And Michael Jensen had his funeral over the weekend, and today there will be a funeral honoring the life of Lieutenant Michael Husak, and that'll be happening literally right after the show this morning. So God bless to you both in heaven. God bless to your families here on earth and those that have passed on that are up in heaven with you. And may there be a peaceful feeling today, and just goodness and love and healing moving forward. I know it was the end of your watch, but may God continue to watch over yours. With that being said, here on the show, a lot of great stuff coming up with Murph, so let's bring him in. Picture in picture with Mr. Murphy on a Monday. Murph, how are you?
Doing well, DT. Recovering a little bit of sleep over the last 24 hours from a fun night on Saturday night with a couple of my cousins. Went to my cousin Danny's fiance's family's house. It's a mouthful. Up in upstate New York, just barely across the border from Pennsylvania. Had a blast. Talked a little bit about what's going on with the wedding. So kind of ironing out the details of what our plan is to get to the airport.
Yeah.
So that'll be that's a little bit interesting. But yeah, it was a great night. Played some golf yesterday for my home club at Pocono Farms. We played in the first gap match of the year, and safe to say we did pretty well up at Elkview. We took 21 and a half out of a possible 27 points, so safe to say it went pretty well.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know you got the wedding and things coming forward here, and something to be excited about, and some good stuff going on, and you going overseas here in the not too distant future. But before that happens, you and I will be doing a show. We're going back to Fishtown, going back to Philadelphia, going back to the exact same spot that we were in before. So when you walk into the casino, folks, and you come around the corner, there's two entrances into the main room. Between those two entrances, there's just a few tables, and we are one of those tables that will find you when you're coming into the event, when you're going into the room, and when you're coming out of the room, and as you're leaving. So we have a prime position for many pieces of traffic. And
I specifically asked for those two tables again, and they granted my wish. So I was very happy with that. Safe to say.
Yeah, I think it's like table 119 and 120 or something like that.
Yes, sir.
So
once I get my PSA order back today, and it's probably not ready for me to pick up yet, but I have it getting sent to the not the FedEx. Funny enough, with FedEx, you can have packages diverted to Dollar General, and then you go and pick them up when you need a signature, and you know you're not going to be at home. So it actually makes things a lot easier for the days that I'm not going to be home. Now, granted, I'm home today. Might be going to the golf course later, but I am home today. But ultimately, I have an easy way of going to pick them up.
Yeah, and that's good. So I know because your PSA orders, I know Josh Gideon just sent his out. I think he got like a ton of 10s or all 10s or something that came back. So we've been getting.
So out of 51 cards, I sent in. I think I got about 65% 10s.
Okay.
Something around there, maybe just under that. The one order, the gem rate was, I believe, 75%, which was really, really good. The other one, the gem rate was a little closer to 50, which wasn't quite as good. So somewhere around the 60, 65% range. So, not great, but, that was still pretty good. I did pick up some big, big wins that you'll see. You'll see me posting them on my Instagram once they come up. Once I have them in my possession, at Murphy's Law Cards on Instagram. But I will be posting those. I'll be putting some price tags on some of them now, and then once they come in and I'm able to put everything together and get my stuff together, that's when you'll start to see. I'll do some promotion for the show and everything, and just get my following to make sure that they know that we'll be at Fishtown. I thought it was an awesome show last time, so I'm looking forward to it again.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And it was my most profitable show that I've ever done. And so there's a lot of fun to sell some stuff that I had forever. And I really liked the event. I really enjoyed the staff. I loved the way that we were treated, and just the kindness and the attention to making sure that they had all of our questions answered. They invited us back. They invited us to Cherry Hill. I couldn't go due to scheduling, but I mean I
was there.
Yeah, you were there.
Yep.
So we got immediately invited to go to Cherry Hill. We got invited to come back to Fishtown. So nice impression on both sides, I would like to believe, and we had some fun with it. So I'm looking forward to it. I got a stack of stuff that I got in the most recent GG Cards and Breaks trade night, which we'll be showing at the end of the show. But I still have this baby, and I go back and forth with, do I want to keep it? Do I want to do something with Murph with it, or do I want to sell it? But I just love. I got to turn it this way.
That is a cool card.
I love that patch. 4-color blue.
I wish it was signed.
I know.
Blue, I really do. I mean, that's still a really cool card. That's still something I'd love to put in my collection, but that's such a sick patch.
Yeah, blue, orange, green, and white patch.
It's Albert's mouth.
Yeah, a 4-color patch of half of the mouth of the gator. It's half of the full patch
Albert.
Of the gator.
His name is Albert.
Oh my goodness, we heard you. So
go Gators.
But go Gators. But somebody was trying. They brought me up a Gator auto of Anthony Richardson, but what they wanted to trade and what the offer was, I did not like, and I'm like, I would be getting this card for Murph, but it has to be something that actually made sense, because people come to your case and they look at your stuff, and Well, I really like, and everybody really loved this card, and I was like, yeah, but it's gotta make a lot of sense for me to even
Mm-hmm.
consider parting ways with that. But yes, so I'm excited. I got some practice in, some wheeling and dealing. Met some really cool people. Met some people that listen to the show. Got some new listeners to the show and viewers, and just had a really great night with awesome people, and got to celebrate more than anything else, Michael Jensen and Michael Husak and those that protect our community of Central and Upstate New York and beyond. So that was the bigger picture of all of this, and that was a moment that I really appreciate. I got to share with the community at the event at GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night there at the Wildcat. So, with that being said, here this morning, a lot of stuff to get into, a lot of things to unpack, and we are going to start off with the conversation of a one Nelly Corda, who has now won 5 consecutive LPGA events, joining Nancy Lopez of 1978 and Annika Sorenstam of 2004-5 as the only players to win 5 consecutive LPGA events, and she matches this history by winning the Chevron Championship. So Murph thought it was ever important, and I agree, to honor Miss Nelly Corda, as well as to celebrate her history with Annika and Nancy this morning in the LPGA.
Absolutely, Dan. And Nelly Corda, for those that don't know, is the number one player in the world on the women's side, and has always been known for playing. And I might take some flack for this. It's a very boring style of golf. Hit fairway, hit green, either make birdies or make pars. It's so boring, but it works. But that's a lot of what you see on the LPGA tour with some of the women, because not a whole lot of them are going for par fives and two. A lot of them are. Nelly's got the length to do it. Players like Maria Fozzi and Lexi Thompson have the length to do it as well. But it's very boring. It's a very boring style of golf. Like, she went out there and shot a pretty boring 69 to close out the tournament. So safe to say it was another good round of golf for her. But she's been playing so well with her new driver and her new fairway woods and everything. So just to kind of go over a couple of stats that you've heard that we've seen from her during her five tournament win streak here. 3.6 strokes gained total per round, which is very impressive. She's hitting 76% of greens in regulation. She's 46 under par on the par fives, and her scoring average is 68.7. On tournament conditions on the LPGA Tour, that is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
She's got one of the most fundamentally sound golf swings you will ever see. Her swing is like watching poetry in motion. It's unreal. And it's so simple that you would think that anybody can do it, but you can't. She's got the swing, and I really wish that we could get her swing into our database at Golf Tech, because I would show her swing to everybody, male or female, because it is that good. She gets to the top, and I wanted to pull up her swing right now just so that I can, do a quick little analyzation here real quick. But she takes it back very much. Here we go. Nelly's swing in slow motion. And, of course, there's an Expedia ad on the front of it. But looking at Nelly Corda's swing, it's a decently steep takeaway, but it follows the same plane on the way back as it does on the way down. It's like I said, such a fundamentally sound golf swing, makes a good turn, has good depth at the top of the swing, and then is able to, on the way down, rotate her hips and drive through the ground in order to generate speed. It's I would literally say it is a flawless golf swing. I would show anybody this swing. And I'm sure any golf tech coach out there in America would agree, or beyond, because remember, we're nationwide, would agree that Nelly Corda's swing is just that good. And she's playing the QI10 Max driver this year, so she is a fellow Team TaylorMade golfer. And safe to say, with that driver in play, she is hitting fairways, hitting great shots into greens, setting herself up for opportunities to hit it into greens and just winning. Right? It's not like she's going out and winning by 20, but she's playing good enough golf to beat everybody else. It's no different than what Scotty Scheffler has been doing. But more people would be see. Was that the rest of the intro?
No, my computer this morning, it was like, "Hey man, I'm set. I'm ready to go. I'm for it. Let's do this. It's Monday." And then it started beatboxing and remixing, and I mean, I don't. I think Justin Timberlake was in here last night, and he must have been working on something in the studio, and we must have just crossed our intro with whatever he's been working on. So you got a little clip of JT, but no, we're good. We're good in here. My computer's
Okay.
just my computer can't go too long without going, "Hey, I'm gonna keep you on your toes today." So that's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it likes
Yeah.
to do. But yeah, we're talking about her swing. I was actually sitting here in the studio wanting to look at it and a little bit better here. So that's why you heard what you just heard, because
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
trying to look at it with no sound here, but apparently it decided to play some sound.
Yep. Yeah, but her swing is just so fundamentally sound. It's so crisp. It's so clean. She has it's not like she's got like a ton of wrist flex at the top of the swing. She's not like bowing her wrist at the top like this. It's very much like a 45-degree angle, which is pretty much what I teach most of my students to avoid getting them going to the top of the swing and doing this, which really, really opens the face and can cause all sorts of problems. But it's a very simple move. It's something that, I wish I could do. I wish all my students could do, but
Yeah.
it's very simple. She's able to generate plenty of speed, right? And she doesn't hit the ball crazy far, right? But she hits fairways and she hits the ball far enough that, she's able to attack par fives and two and, and have relatively short irons into greens a lot of the time. So just watching her play is really, really fun to watch. Her attitude and the way she handles herself is really great for somebody who's only 25 years old and is now the number one player in the world and will be for quite some time. Won her 5th consecutive tournament and her 2nd major championship at the first major of the year at the Chevron Championship. So major kudos to Nelly Corda on an absolutely unbelievable streak. I remember watching that tournament periodically because they would show. So we'd get the center in the morning, and they had before the RBC Heritage would come on, they would show the coverage from the previous day of the Chevron Championship on Golf Channel, and I would peek at the leaderboard. And I'm like, "Where's Nelly? I'm like, how's Nelly doing?" And sure enough, she was just plotting her way around the golf course. And middle of the day Saturday, she made a little bit of a run up the leaderboard. And by the end of the day Sunday, she took home the trophy once again.
Yeah, I mean this, and I'm watching this swing repeatedly now to look at all the things I don't
nice
do.
to watch.
Look at that.
I wish we could pull it up on the screen, but it's such a beautiful golf swing.
She keeps her eye on the ball, which I struggle with doing. Here, I'm going to bring it up so that you guys can see it.
Yeah, really, really good position at the top. Great P4 position that we see, and then you just see her just bring the club right down. Like she's not really, if you could let that go one more time,
yeah,
she's not necessarily trying to generate a ton of speed. She gets to the top. So the top position, as we call it, is P4 at Golf Tech. She starts to bring the club straight down, right on the line, hands moving, not out towards the ball, but straight down the line, and then she makes a beautiful swing.
Yeah.
It is so perfect. And I really wish that I could swing like that. But I don't think I ever will swing like that, because if any of you have seen my golf swing, and I know some of you have, it ain't pretty, but it gets the job done. But,
Yeah.
on that note, you want a swing that's not all that pretty. If you look at the lower half of the men's number one player in the world, Scotty Scheffler, who has also been dominating golf, to his credit. Worst feet you could see on the PGA Tour. However, the top half of his swing is perfect. Lower half, different story. Not even going to talk about his feet, about doing the Scheffler shuffle. But top half of his swing, very, very efficient the same way.
Yeah.
But Scotty, and this is the reason why I mentioned to you by text yesterday when we were planning the show for today. This is the reason why I want to talk about Nelly first. Nelly's got 5 wins in a row. Scotty's only got 4 out of 5. So I thought Nelly deserved to go first on that historic occasion. But Scotty Scheffler, we talked about him last week, having won 3 out of 4. Ever since he put the spider putter in the bag, he has gone win-win, T2, win, and now another win. And you're looking at the leaderboard on Thursday and on Friday, and Scotty's just, he didn't play great on Thursday, played okay on Friday, and he goes and shoots like 62 or 64 or something like that on Saturday. I don't remember exactly what he shot. And all of a sudden, he's the 54-hole leader with Colin Morikawa and Ludwig Oberg following him, like right behind him. I'm like, really? Is this the Masters all over again? So, come in from the round yesterday. They gave us lunch and everything afterwards. Well, it was really like an early dinner. So went into the bar afterwards, got a couple of drinks and had dinner, and they had the golf on. They had both tournaments on. They had the tournament in Punta Cana as well. Who also shout out Wesley Bryan for a great week. Just barely missed out on a win. Came in second in that PGA Tour event. Most of you know him from YouTube, but he was also a successful PGA Tour pro, and still plays in tournaments every once in a while. Well, not every once in a while. He still plays in tournaments a lot. But I wouldn't even necessarily call him a YouTube golfer, because he's really not. He's a PGA Tour professional. But did want to give a little shout out to him for playing well and down in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. But looking at on the PGA side, looking at Scotty and everybody else that's been chasing him, Scotty has been able to get it done on the greens. We talked about this last week with the Masters. We can talk about it again. That spider putter that he has put in the bag has been an absolute godsend for him. Clearly, his issues had a little to do with contact with the putter, and for lack of a better term, he'd almost get the yips. Right? He'd get a shorter putt, because his lag putting wasn't bad. It never was. But he was missing a lot of 3, 4, 5, 6 footers that PGA Tour pros should realistically be making. So, because if you look at just the tour average make percentage from those distances, the 3-footer tour player is going to make over 99% of those. A 6-footer, it's still 71% of those putts that they're making. So he was missing a lot of those putts, and he's starting to make them now. Does he still miss putts? Absolutely. Does this putter make him the best putter in the world? Absolutely not. Right? But what it has done for Scotty is give him a lot of confidence. And Rory was the one who gave him the idea to switch to the spider putter. Probably not smart of Rory, considering that now Scotty's going to be dominating him for the rest of time. But, Scotty Scheffler has just dominated golf again. And I wanted to bring up the winnings total for a minute. So let's get... So as of last week, Scotty Scheffler was making, and it was going back to the first weekday of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, he had made, oh boy, I think it was $380,000 per day over the last 4 weeks. And now he just won again,
Yeah.
which brought him 3.6 million for winning that tournament. His overall season earnings are $18.7 million. I wish I could find it. I saw it somewhere.
Well,
But his
let me hit with
Yeah,
this
go
while
ahead.
you're looking at it. So we talk about Nelly Corda winning 5 in a row and
Oh,
matching
by the way,
matching
her
history.
total winnings over the course of those 5 events, $2.2 million.
Yeah, which needs to change. So
Yes. Agreed.
looking at that, and Nelly winning 5 in a row, and a congratulations to her and marking, making history for herself and then tying history with 2 other members of the LPGA. On the men's side of things, we take a look at Scotty Scheffler, as we've been talking about here, who just won this morning the RBC Heritage that had to continue today because of weather yesterday. Now winning 4 of 5. Those 4 are the Masters that we spoke about last week, as well as the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the Players' Championship. The only one that he did not come up with the victory, where he tied for second, was the Houston Open. So Scheffler now winning 4 of 5, Nelly winning 5 in a row, and both of them dominating the golf world, which kind of makes me want to see Scotty Scheffler and Nelly Corda head to head. That'd be fun. So, but
That would be fun. But Nellie's got to play her tees.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the only difference between the men's and women's game is they play different lengths of the courses. The men are playing anywhere from like 72 to 7,700 yards, sometimes even closer to 8,000. The women play like 65 to 6,700 yards, which is what most of your, better amateur players will play at their home clubs, right? Like the length of the tees at Pocono Farms for me, I think, are 68, which is the tips. But the only reason I play the tips there, and a lot of places I'll play sometimes one up from the tips if I'm playing with buddies that aren't as good. But I'll play the tips at Pocono Farms because for me, there's no reason to play forward because I would just be in the same spot off the tee anyway. Because I wouldn't hit the same club, I'd have to change clubs because there's not a lot of places for me to hit driver. So the driver holes I'd have an advantage, sure, but the holes that I can't hit driver, there's no incentive for me to go and play the forward tees. But if they did that, and I think that would be a really fun version of Capital One's The Match. I think everybody would watch that. You put Scotty at his tees, you put Nelly on her tees, same course conditions for both of them. I think it would be a really fun match. That is that I am saying that right now, Capital One. If I want to see that, and I think America would want to see that.
Hey,
because we've gone away from what the match was supposed to be with Tiger and Phil originally. And now they've done all these different iterations of it that are, the one they did with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady with Tiger and Phil, that one was great. That was during COVID. The next one they did with Phil and Charles Barkley versus Steph Curry and Peyton Manning was also pretty good. But since then, it really hasn't been anywhere near as good. So at this point, it's like, why? I mean, but that's what they kind of saved it a little bit with the Bryson versus Koepka match. But I think this would be on that same level. You put Scotty and Nelly together for 18 holes, both Team TaylorMade staffers, and I think that would be a really fun match. I think both of them would enjoy it. Because they don't really have these big egos that you see a lot of players have these days.
Yeah. And
they're just very, very humble. They go out, they have fun, and they just dominate.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be awesome to watch that.
Yeah.
Raise some money for charity would be great.
That's why I brought it up. Why not? Why not have
I'm in.
the best? Why not have the best of the best right now? By the way, though, when we look at the earnings of these last 2 victories, Scotty Scheffler got three times the earnings for winning the RBC than did Nelly Corda for winning her most recent here at the Chevron. Chevron 1.2 million, the RBC 3.6 million. So there is that discrepancy. Now she is the fastest player to get to over $2 million in a single season earnings in tour history for the LPGA, as she now has 2.4 plus million already this season. But you look at the discrepancy and say, for a women's championship, 1.2, for a men's 3.6. Now, I know different ones give out different money and whatnot. It's just when you see that in the same weekend and we're discussing it, and he's getting another almost $4 million and she's getting barely over one, it brings up the reality of my dad and I talking about the contract that Caitlin Clark just got for WNBA.
Yeah,
now,
but didn't she just get like a $20 million contract from Nike?
But that's the thing. The women have to supplement because their contract doesn't support. If a man signs a contract, there are guys that have contracts, and I mean no disrespect in this whatsoever. I'm just talking about because there's the bird rights contract and the non-bird rights and the this and that. There's all these different contracts in the NBA. And when you look at like the veteran minimum and the veteran maximum, there are guys that you don't even know, names you don't even know, that are making an outrageous amount of money. And then you got Caitlin Clark and you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, she's going to make the salary of this guy and this guy and this guy. And it's like, but she has to do that by getting her WNBA salary, bringing in Nike, bringing in this, bringing in that. Now, she does have a ton of endorsements, and she's probably very easily going to be the highest paid WNBA player ever, but it's not coming from the WNBA. And that's the frustration, because you look at the NWSL with women's soccer, and you know what people have to do. Now, there is stuff on the men's side. You know, I've talked to guys that play arena football and semi-pro football, and they got to work a full-time job, and so there are other pieces in both worlds, men and women. The frustration that I have is that Caitlin Clark, who is right now one of the greatest current players ever in the history of the sport, will go down as one of the greatest ever. And right now in this moment, we're talking about the fact that she's not a really good women's player. She's a really good player overall. She signed a deal with the Indiana Fever as the number one pick for 4 years, $338,000. She will earn $76,535 in her first year with the Fever, and her salary will increase every year through 2027, during which she will earn still under $100,000 in the final year of her contract. So we're talking about, I'm covering NFL deals, and I'm talking about guys with a $20 million signing bonus that are going to make $200 million over the course of their contract, and at bare minimum are going to make this. I'm talking about Josh Allen's new contract and how much money he's going to make, and she will not make $1 million in 4 years, not even $500,000 in 4 years, and she will not make by year over $100,000 with her WNBA contract as the number one overall pick and Division I men's and women's basketball all-time leading scorer. So if this was a here and now, and we're talking about LeBron, we're talking about, I mean, for goodness sakes, if this was Kwame Brown when he was drafted first overall in the NBA draft years ago, his contract would be astronomically different than this. So yes, Caitlin Clark is getting money, and yes, she's getting, she's bringing in overall a good amount of money, but in order to do that, she has to supplement herself above this outrageously low contract that comes from the WNBA. That's a number one pick, folks. That's not the number that, we're left. How many picks low do you have to go beyond that to find something like that? But right now we look at it and say, okay, she's got an 8-year deal that could end up being worth $28 million with Nike and a signature shoe. So, we know that that's coming out. We know that that's huge. We know that she's done different things with insurance companies, and we saw her on commercials, but there were people arguing that she should have stayed another year in college because her endorsements were going to make her more than her professional contract, which is
It probably would.
Which is awful, and it's outrageous and it's wrong. So yes, we start the show by honoring Nelly Corda, but the LPGA, we need to start raising some money. I mean, I'm looking at almost $20 million that's going total to Scotty Scheffler, and then we're excited about the fact that she's the fastest LPGA player to get to $2 million. 18, he's at 18.5, she's at 2. So, it's great to honor.
The biggest issue, and we've had this conversation before. The biggest issue with it is just purely from purely a revenue standpoint, right? Like the WNBA operates at a loss. The NBA has to bail them out every single year because they don't make enough revenue on their own. That's the reason why they don't get paid enough, right? All these women that try to advocate, and it's not necessarily like the women that play, right? The players is one thing, but all these random women, politicians and any other women's player or women in general that want to talk like, hey, like they should be making more money, right?
Go to the games.
Go to the games.
Go to the games.
Watch these people play. You want them to make more money? People have to go see them. The only reason, and I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the U.S. women's national team now makes more than the men's team, right? I believe that's the case.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. It's not, it seems like it's not even a joy anymore to be on that team. It seems like the NBA,
because they took
NBA
everything and made it
players
political.
just like turning it down and not being a part of it. Now, the United States women's national team, this was back in November 30th. Oh, this is a while back here, but it was in the FIFA World Cup, and so we were looking at how many were going to make the men's side of things. I'm not seeing in basketball right now, but there was a change in trying to make more money for the United States women's national team as far as soccer goes, because of the fact that, here they are. Now, by the way, and people don't know this, they went into the last World Cup as the winningest country in the world. The United States women's national team had gone into the last World Cup winning more championships in the FIFA World Cup than any other nation. Not Germany, not France, not Brazil, not Spain, not Italy, not England. The United States. And people are always saying, are the men going to make it? Are they good enough to make it? Can they just qualify? People were more concerned with the men making the World Cup than the reality that the women play in the championship, win the championship, play in the championship, come up second in the world. I mean, this team, and they don't rebuild, they reload. So after the last, a few years ago, when everything was said and done, they sat there and said, okay, we need to make more money because this is outrageous, because we're representing the entire country better than any other. I mean, we are the representation. Speaking of the women, they are the representation of this. So looking at it right now and just how much money each team is supposed to get. So the U.S.
I'm fairly confident they make more than the men now.
Well, and they earned $6.5 million. That's So it says that means the U.S. women's national team will earn. Oh, that was going back to Qatar. If the team defeats the Netherlands, in contrast, the U.S. women's national team earned $6 million in total for its successive World Cup wins. So that's what it was saying, is looking at how much money will the men get, how much money will the women get, and trying to change those things and trying to get it out there that, these women play for peanuts. And by the way, when everybody's watching the women's national team every 4 years and going, wow, this is great, you can go see a bunch of these women in the NWSL in
But they
America
don't.
playing for, a few bucks that it's going to cost you to go to these games. So you could see the women that are beating the world for probably less than going to see a movie. And
What?
that's
But
crazy
this is
too, is
what
that
they
people
should
aren't
be
going to the
fighting for, though.
NWSL. That you're
But
not
this
going
is
to
what
these
they
games.
yeah. But the problem is they're not fighting to get more people to watch them. They are fighting to get paid more. Wouldn't you think that makes people not want to watch you in realistically? But the reason I brought that up is the women's soccer team is more popular in America than the men's team. Therefore, they should be paid more, which they are. In the WNBA, they are the far inferior league to the NBA. You want if the WNBA wants to be paid more, you need more people. You need more butts in the seats. You need more people to watch you on TV, right? It's the same thing, and it kills me to say it. It's the same thing with the LPGA Tour, except I do think that women's golf is probably a higher paying sport than women's soccer or women's basketball. So, ladies, learn how to play golf. Come and see me. But regardless, you got girls like Nelly Korda that are taking home $2 million in season earnings. And, you see a lot of these women that are doing well for themselves because they get club sponsorships. They get sponsorships from, whatever, insurance or whatever, like what Caitlin Clark is getting. Right? But the reason why the LPGA doesn't make as much as the PGA is because the viewership isn't as good. Not as many people are going to the events. The WNBA, not as many people watch their games. They don't bring in enough money. They operate at a loss. NWSL, not as many people watch that than they do the MLS. National soccer, different story. More people in America watch the women's team. The women's team makes more money, as it should be, right? Yeah. I have said all along that you get paid based on the revenue you generate, right? Ladies, if you want more money, get more butts in the seats.
Well, and the thing is that they're collecting.
You're not going to do it by banging the drum and saying you deserve to be paid more just for being you. Well, you would deserve to get paid more if there were more people watching you and you had more revenue generated.
Well, and that's the thing, is they're coming off of record viewership. So as their viewership increases and these pieces that they need continue to go up. I mean, we look at the fact that tickets for the Indiana Fever, who drafted Caitlin Clark, are obviously being sold. Clark's jersey's already sold out. Dick's Sporting Goods intends to sell her jerseys in all 724 of its locations once they're back in stock, which is great to hear because that means I'll be able to buy it in multiple locations in Central New York. But looking at where things are right now and why they are, there's a collective bargaining agreement that they signed back in 2020, which dictates their overall pay terms. So even with things going up, we look at the NBA, and the NBA players enjoy a 50-50 split of so-called basketball-related revenue, like broadcast money and jersey sales with the owners. The CBA that WNBA players have signed allowed for revenue sharing only if revenue thresholds were met, and they haven't been met up to this point. Now, They can opt out of their collective bargaining agreement after this season of 2024-25, which I figure they probably will.
I imagine they will too.
And so that could give them an opportunity to look at how the sport has grown, to look at all the athletes that they brought in and what they've done in college, like a Caitlin Clark, like an Angel Reese, like a Paige Buchers, as well as Diasia Fair from Syracuse, who is going to the back-to-back national champion Las Vegas Aces. So when you look at the new collective bargaining agreement and how they want to break this out, and like you said, the fate of the WNBA remains in the hands of the NBA, which controls more than 40% of the women's league. So, that's where we're at here, is that the WNBA came out, when I was growing up, and it was great to see it because there wasn't anything for women here, but it was a league that just looked like there wasn't a lot of backing to it. There wasn't a lot of sponsorship. There was like no viewership because there was nowhere to watch it. And now the conversation that came out here, Carmichael Jackson said this in a statement, the Women's National Basketball Players Association executive director. Quote, "It's time the NBA recognizes the indispensable role of WNBA players in shaping the league's future success. They must acknowledge that valuing WNBA players and paying million-dollar salaries requires a stronger broadcast deal, one that absolutely necessitates players at the negotiating table to strengthen the business case and drive home their value," end quote. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert said, quote, "We continue to find ways to return some of the growth we have been experiencing to the players beyond what the CBA requires. We are, quote, increasing playoff bonuses by over 50% and providing a $4 million budgeted charter flight program for full playoffs, all back-to-backs requiring air travel in the Commissioner Cup championship game," end quote. So they're not essentially asking to be paid at the same level as the NBA. Rather, as Las Vegas Aces star Kelsey Plume said on an episode of the Residency podcast, quote, "We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared." And so that's what they're looking at here. And like you said, the men get, well, like we were talking about, the men get a 50-50 split. So, we'll see how it goes from here. But really what it comes down to, and this is something that I said before, and I had this conversation last week, it's a cyclical thing that we see. You have the WNBA come out, you have the NWSL come out, and what did people say through your childhood and my childhood? If you play like a girl, it was considered a derogatory comment to a man. You play like a girl, which means you are a wuss, which means you suck, which means you're weak, which means you're not that good. So the connotation growing up that's driven into your forehead, and people become a sponge of what they learn, it was said over and over and over and over and over again to kids in my generation and the generation after me, and maybe still now, if you play like a girl, you're a wuss, you suck, you're not good, you're weak, you're less than. And so when you grow up believing that women equals less than, women equals not the same, women equals not as good, and then you say, where are the WNBA games? And they're not on TV. Where are the NWSL games? And they're not on TV. And you don't see the sponsorship stuff. And you don't see the commercials, because the NBA spends a ton of money on commercials and advertising in general. When you're brought up believing that women are less than, and you're told that they're less than, and it's a derogatory comment, added into there's no exposure for you to watch these games, you start thinking, oh, okay, they must not be as good because they're not on TV. They're not on commercials. They're not doing interviews. ESPN's not carrying them. Fox isn't carrying them. This, that, and the other. So it's a cyclical thing of saying they don't matter, then treating them like they don't matter, which makes people believe that they don't matter, which ends up being that they don't get more opportunities because there's the notion that they don't matter, and we keep spinning around and around and around.
But the biggest issue, though, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
The only change that's been coming is that the WNBA and the NWSL have gotten more sponsorships. They've gotten more out there. I've gone to their website and seen that they have added high-quality international businesses, business names that we know, airlines and companies like, when you look at the Nikes of the world and the Deltas of the world and so on and so forth, the WNBA and the NWSL have been producing these partnerships, and these partnerships are putting us in a position where it's providing a break from that cycle and going, well, if that company cares, I like flying that airline, and I like going to eat at that restaurant, and I know that that's $1 billion company, and I know that they, sponsor the NFL, or they sponsor the NBA, or whatever it may be, or they sponsor this and that. So there is a little bit of change to that, but it's exposure. The college basketball tournament for women's basketball growing up as a kid, there were no games on except for the championship. We did not see anything that happened. There was no round of whatever to Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight to the Final Four. It was just the championship game. So all I knew as a kid was, did UConn win or did UConn lose? That's all I knew because that's all we were given.
Well, but that's also the only team that was quote unquote relevant for like the entire 2000s.
But it wasn't. There was Pat Summitt in Tennessee. There were other teams that were, and we wouldn't have known. The thing is, without Caitlin Clark at Iowa, we don't know about Iowa. And you look at
no clue.
You look at LSU. You look at You look at times with Stanford. You look at South Carolina, obviously with Dawn Staley. You look at these moments with NC State this season. You look at Notre Dame in the past and Louisville. There's so many things that we didn't know, that I didn't know, because there was no information. So as a child, you're being told you play like a girl, then there's no women's coverage. There's pages upon pages in the newspaper about the men's tournament. There's a giant cutout for you to fill it out yourself. And there's this little tiny box for the women's tournament letting you know that it starts on this day, but it doesn't give you any information. Maybe you get a box score, but you're not watching anything. And that's what I'm saying. When you grow up with negative connotations toward women and there's no games on television, think about it now. If kids growing up now were getting what you and I got, so they wouldn't know Caitlin Clark, they wouldn't know Angel Reese, they wouldn't know Paige Bucher, they wouldn't know any of these players because they're not on television during the season. There's no TV deal for regular season games. There's no conference that's joining like the Big East on this channel and the ACC on this channel. There's no internet networks. There's no streaming. So there's none of that stuff. There's no ESPN Plus. There's no ACC network. There's no Big Ten network, so on and so forth. There's no SEC network. Then they get to the tournament and they don't show it till the championship game. Then Caitlin Clark's not making that money. And, then maybe the draft changes. I mean, I think about it like this. The WNBA draft was on television. WNBA draft, I remember like looking at it and go, oh, they drafted tonight? I didn't even know what month month they drafted. I didn't know what day they drafted. I didn't know what time they drafted. Because when the WNBA came out, there was no information. So what I'm saying is TV and streaming and radio, they have to put in and they have to give the exposure to create the conversation. Think about Marywood University.
Mm-hmm.
I had to fight to put women's basketball on because they said they wanted to put men's on. And I said, we're doing both. And they said maybe, and I said definitely. I said, I'm not doing it unless I do both. But Marywood was getting no exposure for men's or women's. Then they were getting a little bit for men's, none for women's, and I said we're going to do both. And that changed everything from 2003 to today. And those awesome people that worked with me and those teachers that finally said, reluctantly at times, oh, okay, we'll do it. I mean, I had teachers at Marywood University that treated MU courtside like a nuisance. And then when it got bigger and better and it made them look good and they were going into the new gym and putting all that stuff in there, they shut their mouths and they took credit for all my work. So they didn't want to do it. There were teachers that did not want to do it. There were people in faculty that didn't want another thing that they had to do. And I fought for it and fought for it and fought for it. And then we got it out there. And those student athletes to this day get in touch with me, connect with me, and thank me. And a lot of times it's the women even more than the men that say, thank you for letting us do this. Thanks for being on there. Thanks for showing us. Thanks for taking the time to put us out there. If you do not give the exposure, you create that stupid argument that the women's game doesn't matter, which I've been fighting since I started my career of any sport. I was at a softball game yesterday, 47 degrees outside. It was one of my favorite things I did this weekend. So when you look at
which school?
Lemoyne. So when you look at, and they won. But when you look at the situation,
how is their softball team? 'Cause I know their baseball team's been doing pretty solid.
Yeah, the softball team, they've played so many games already, but they're definitely,
that's Division I for you.
Yeah, well, and the thing is I don't think that the record isn't going to adequately show, but they won back-to-back series again. They did it earlier on in the season as well, and they gutted it out. And I mean, this is a team that doesn't shy away from any type of competition. They're going to play Syracuse this week, so they're just going down the street. But I've been really, happy to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I was really happy to see, again, exposure, how many people came out yesterday in their jackets and their blankets and sat on those bleachers and, balloons out and packed the place and having a good time. So, to my point of this, though, if you want viewership, you have to make it visible. If you want listenership, you have to turn the mic on. And that all comes with time. Somebody has to take a chance. Somebody might have to take a loss. Somebody has to put it out there. When I said, well, let's put out men's and women's basketball, some people might have gone, why? The teams aren't good. Neither one of them are making the playoffs. That's not why I did it. Well, why are you putting the women on? I just want to watch the men. Because it's basketball, and basketball to me is equal. I'm going to treat these women with the same way I treat these men. I'm not going to do more for them and less for them. That's not how we're doing it. So I took a chance to put something out there that even the teachers were like, who cares? And I said, I care. And there could be somebody else that cares. And bare minimum, the mom cares, the dad cares, the aunt, the uncle cares, and so on and so forth. So you have to start it. You have to put it out there. You have to seek the sponsorships. My business would be nowhere without my legwork. I had to sell something that was new, something that was becoming something. I had to sell an idea of where I was going when it wasn't tangible. And in the WNBA and the NWSL, they're selling this thing that is tangible. It is there. It's been there for years. But people didn't know about it. People didn't hear about it. There's people that you say the NWSL to and they go, what the hell does that stand for? So somebody has to take the chance. Somebody has to put the viewership out there. Some TV company, some radio company has to put, they have to put it out there. They have to seek the sponsorships or let the WNBA and NWSL do it. But with exposure comes more people, which is why you see the women's tournament in Division I be what it's been the last 2 years, because in the last 2 years, somebody gave a crap about it, and it just so happened to be really friggin' awesome. But if I was a kid and you were a kid and it was right now when we were kids, we would never have seen Caitlin Clark, and the only way we would have known that she is the leading scorer in Division I for men's and women's is if somebody put it in our newspaper on the 15th page of the sports section in the corner. And that's not acceptable to me. So if you want to change how women are treated in sports, somebody's got to start putting it out there and giving people an opportunity to consume it, because you can't complain about consumers when you don't give them the product.
But the problem is, though, it falls on the networks, right? You gotta, the biggest thing to keep in mind is that these networks pay the leagues to put them on TV.
Yeah.
You've got to find out what these networks are thinking. Because if ESPN or if Fox or if NBC Sports or CBS Sports all don't believe that there's money to be made, they're not gonna pay for the rights. That's the problem. The problem is they don't think, and you're right, one of them would have to take a chance on it for them to make it work. But at the same time, maybe it's in the WNBA or the NWSL's best interest to make a deal in which you hit certain ladders, right? Where the first couple of years, they're paying the network's paying very little, but you get the exposure that you wanted.
Yeah.
And if you continue to bring in more viewers, then the number they get that you get increases and increases and increases. But I don't think they would do that, because I think they want the money. So if they had, let's just say it's ESPN, because most WNBA games that you see are probably on ESPN. And obviously they don't carry all the games. But if you had ESPN and ESPN Plus carry every single WNBA game all season long, simply not paying for it at all, just for free, I guarantee you there would be more people watching the WNBA because it's on TV. Now, would I set aside time to watch it. Personally, no. It's not my thing. I watched when Caitlin Clark was playing. That was my interest. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm also not a big basketball fan or soccer fan in general, right? So I'm not necessarily the target audience that they're looking for. Women's golf, different story. I coach golf. I enjoy watching golf. Will I watch the women first? No, probably not. But if they're on and the men are not, I will watch it. Right? I like watching Nelly Korda. I like watching Maria Fozzi. I like watching all of these really good players that with golf, because watching women's golf is like watching really good players swing the club, which you can actually learn a lot from. But like I said, they're on because golf, when Golf Channel puts them on. If they're not on Golf Channel, they're not going to be on NBC. They're not going to be on CBS. They're not going to be on Fox, as I believe, which is who I believe has the U.S. Open. They're not going to be on these channels. The Chevron Championship was on Golf Channel, which is fine. It's only one tournament that you need to put on TV, right? But what they would do is, the men's tournament would get coverage from ESPN Plus, from CBS, whatever network they're on that week, because they pay for the rights. Golf Channel pays for the rights to the women's tournaments. But people watch Golf Channel anyway. Golf Channel gets a lot of revenue just from golf stores because they'll put on Golf Channel. Right? Now, we don't have Golf Channel on all the time, but when we have Golf Channel on, most of the time we have golf on. Right? The only times we won't have it on is if there's no golf going on, and opening day baseball we put on. We're gonna have the draft on Thursday night. I'm not there Sundays, but I'm sure the guys put on football on Sunday. Puts football on Sundays. I know on Saturdays when Matt and I are there during football season, we'll usually put on college football, or we'll put on. Now he's from Wales, so he's a big soccer fan, so he'll put on Premier League soccer.
Yeah.
So and that's fine. But like I said, the biggest issue that these leagues face, especially those two, the WNBA and the NWSL, the networks have to pay for the rights. If they want more people watching, they need to come down on the number for them to watch, for them to get full rights, right? It's the easiest way to generate viewership, and I guarantee you they won't do it. And I really wish they would.
Well, this is the thing.
Because even though I'm not their target audience, I wouldn't watch it. There are plenty of people out there that would, right? So if you just let them take the rights to broadcast it, right? And you do it in short-term spurts, right? A year or two, they get it for free or for a very much discounted rate. Depending on how it goes, then you can renegotiate, get more money from the networks as the viewership continues to increase. But as of right now, unless they do that, they're not going to have any more viewers, right? People will watch the WNBA for Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
They're not going to watch it for a random, I don't even know teams in the W. New York Liberty versus, I don't know, the Las Vegas Aces. That's the only teams that I know. But the New York Liberty also have Sabrina Ionescu, who, well, at least I think they do. This is how little I know about the WNBA. But if they do, I think they still have Sabrina Ionescu. But she was a story probably 4 or 5 years ago, right? For all the triple doubles that she had. I don't even remember what team she played for. But I'm afraid that same thing's going to happen to Caitlin Clark. Because Sabrina Ionescu was the thing in college basketball on the women's side for a couple of years. She goes to the WNBA, gets some sponsorship deals. Nobody's heard her name. I'm afraid the same thing's going to happen to Caitlin Clark.
No.
I really am.
No.
Because, 3, 4, 5 years from now, if her teams aren't winning,
it won't change.
Her name might fade into oblivion.
It won't.
I'm afraid. I hope it doesn't.
It won't.
But I'm afraid that's going to happen.
No, I mean, Breanna Stewart is case in point of the fact that, people follow where she goes. But there is the reality of where kind of things are right now. The National Women's
Oregon,
Soccer
that's where she played.
Yeah, the National Women's Soccer League the NWSL, has a new $80 million a season deal that spans over Amazon, CBS, ESPN, and ION.
Good.
Which is a benchmark to follow. And ESPN's $115 million a year contract for 40 NCAA championships values the women's March Madness basketball tournament at $65 million a year. So that takes up a huge chunk of that 115 million, with that 65 being for the women. So
yeah, because they don't get to broadcast the men.
There is the opportunity to do this, and it's the WNBA deal is connected to the NBA deal, and with the NBA being in the billions and the WNBA being in the millions, there is the notion that in their collective bargaining agreement ending and this deal with ESPN and whatever, and the other partners that they have, with the opportunity coming to a close of what they currently have in their contract, they can split from the NBA and negotiate their own deal, as opposed to the NBA saying, hey, we want to make 3 times the 2.6 or 2.7 billion that we're making, and then negotiate the WNBA's. If the majority of the money in a joint deal is going to the NBA, and the NBA is sitting at the table and having this conversation with ESPN going, yeah, we'll take care of the WNBA, but let's get most of the money there. If the NBA is helping the WNBA, let's be real about it. The NBA, if a business is helping another business, that business is still going to take care of itself first. So it behooves the WNBA to have its own negotiating contract and sit down with ESPN. And if they don't like what ESPN says, they don't like what Disney says, then they start having a conversation with Fox. They start having a conversation with Amazon. They start having a conversation with whoever. But there are other avenues, RSN, CW, there's other avenues to air these sports games, and there's other opportunities. Now, granted, the WNBA doesn't play anywhere near the 82 games that the NBA plays. They're not on as long, and obviously the NBA is in full swing, and the WNBA just had their draft, and they're going to be starting up their season. But I think the best bet for the WNBA is to go to this new collective bargaining agreement and figure out a better way to support the players' contracts. And I also believe that they should sit down with Disney individually and negotiate their deal. Not with the NBA, but just as themselves. See what if the NWSL can get almost $100 million deal across a bunch of platforms, the WNBA should be able to get, I would say, arguably more than that, more than the 80 million. So if they want to go from 60 to 100, which allegedly is where they want to be, I don't think that's too much to ask, especially when the NBA is at 2.7 billion and they want to be higher. So let's see what we and by the way, folks, when we talk about ESPN being the front runner of all this stuff, they've been allegedly bleeding money. They spend millions and billions of dollars to buy Monday Night Football, to buy the NBA, to buy all of this stuff. And no matter how much money they've made with Marvel Studios and Star Wars, look at how many people they've fired. Look at how many great broadcasters and journalists that have been let go because Disney's got to find the money somewhere. And guess what, folks? When you see all this stuff happening and you go, oh, the NBA is on ESPN and this is on ESPN and ESPN bought this and they got the draft and they got this, that, and the third. When you go to the parks now and your ticket is $175, when I was working, it was $80. It was $89. So just understand.
I will never go to a Disney park again because it's so damn expensive.
But just understand.
It's $200 just to get into one park.
Understand something, folks. Disney will find a way to make you pay for what they're doing with ESPN. And that is the sick thing, is that it always rolls downhill. So as these millions and billions and stuff continue to happen, I remember when Disney built the $400 million expansion of Pandora to Animal Kingdom. And they said, well, we got to raise prices because we spent $400 million. None of us asked you to. and you're adding to your park so that you can get us to keep coming in, but you're charging us more. By the way, there's no ticket this is the ticket. Like it's $89 to get in. It could be $89 today, $117 tomorrow, $170 2 months from now, because they decide how they want to charge you based on the day. So
flex, I believe it's called like flex pricing or demand pricing or something like that.
So
a lot of businesses are starting to do that. I know Camelback started doing that.
I got my mom we got my mom a 1-day park hopper. 1-day park hopper. And it was over $220.
That's absurd.
So, just so you know, folks, because it's not that I didn't grow up loving Disney and it's not that I don't love watching ESPN. It's that we are the ones that suffer when this money, because where's the money coming from? Eventually, it comes from you and me.
It's the same. It's the same thing that happens when we send money overseas from the government. What happens? They raise taxes. We pay for it. It's the same thing with ESPN. It's the same thing with Disney. It's the same thing with anybody, right? Cost of goods goes up. No, cost of fuel goes up.
Yeah.
In 2021, 2022. Cost of diesel fuel goes up, right? So it's more expensive for trucks to operate.
Yeah.
They in turn then fire truck drivers because they can't afford to pay them. What happens? The price of goods goes up. The price of food goes up. The price of, I don't know, toilet paper goes up. Everything.
Yeah.
It all comes back to us. Right? Price of gas goes up. The price of goods goes up. Don't you remember there was a time where you could get a gallon of milk for like $1.89?
Yeah. And
or something like that. Now a gallon of fat-free milk's like $3.50.
Yeah. Eggs were 99 cents. I mean, I remember in college, DHL that brought the movie reels, gas went up and gas went up. So then DSL raised the price. I think this is how it went. Gas went up. Then DHL raised the price of the reel. And then they brought it to the theater and they said, okay, if we're paying more gas to bring the reels to you, then we're going to charge you more for the reels to offset the gas. And then all of a sudden, all the movie ticket prices went up. So It all came back to us. And,
it all comes back to us, no matter what.
And I would love it if Disney did this crazy thing called care about the people that have been coming to see you for over 3 decades, like my family.
People.
So
they don't care about us. All they care about is their money. And there are businesses that care about their people. And the ones that do, I commend them for it. And those businesses, people should continue to use them because they do genuinely care about the people.
Yeah.
Right? I know for myself, I care about all my students.
Yeah.
Right? I want all my students to be successful. One of my students who just took his last lesson with me the other day, probably may not be taking lessons with me much anymore, at least until August. He texted me yesterday. He said he shot 85, and something we did with him on the course the other day really, really worked. And I was proud of him. I texted him back and said, "Let's go, man. That's awesome. Keep it up." Like, I care about my students. I want them to succeed. Right? There are businesses that do treat their customers, their clients, their employees really, really well.
Yeah.
Right? Because they care. But then you got companies like Disney. You've got companies, food companies that don't care.
Yeah. Well, you got Pfizer.
That will charge whatever they want.
You got Pfizer out there right now saying, we got a new vaccine for a new thing that you didn't know that you could have sometimes, so you should probably get this shot because you could have this new thing that we just talked about that you've never heard of before. So
they do not care about us.
At the end of the day,
all they care about is their money.
Right. If they can get you to spend it, then they'll do it. And
You're right.
I know there's good people in these companies. I know there's good people at Pfizer, there's good people at Disney, there's good people at ESPN, there's good people throughout. And really, and like I said, it's not a witch hunt. I'm not here to single
higher ups.
I'm not here to single anybody out. I mentioned Disney as an example because I know firsthand what the prices were and what they are now. But to me, it's about, how I built my business and what I care about with my business. I mean, I have clients that have worked with me for over a decade, almost a decade. Ask them if their prices increased. As my business has grown and they've been grandfathered in. Now, new businesses that come in, it's like, here, this is the price that we have, this is what we're doing. But ask the company that's been here for 8 years if they've seen a change in this and a change in that and a change in this. A lot of them that have been with all of them that have been with me, it's like, this is what you have and this is what we're doing and this is how we grow. And if I'm going to raise anything, we're going to have a conversation about what we're doing. But I have prided myself, and I think I said that during COVID. I said every business raised their prices except for mine. I can say that. So, maybe some of the other ones out there. I know Wegmans is saying they're going to bring
Like
their
there's
prices
some
down
that
again.
have to raise their prices.
Right. And
Right? Like if you have to raise your prices because of just purely what it's costing you, and you kind of put it out there like, hey, like we hate to do this, but we
Yeah.
sincerely apologize, but we do have to raise their prices, otherwise we're gonna go out of business.
Yeah.
Right?
And I've
Like,
had companies
so,
do that.
prime example. I go to Texas Roadhouse every Wednesday night. Right? We may or may not go when you're here. I doubt we'll go because there's other places that we can go when you're here this weekend. But I'll go to Texas Roadhouse every Wednesday. A couple of years ago, during COVID, the Wednesday special, the 8-ounce sirloin with 2 sides and all the bread you can drink, all the bread you can eat, was $10.99. It's now $14.99, and it's not because they wanted to raise the price. The cost of beef has gone up.
Yeah.
To the point where they've had to significantly raise their prices. Now, I'm not going to lose sleep over that because I'm going there either way, right? But I guarantee you there's people that are starting to think it's too expensive. Now, Texas Roadhouse in general, very cheap with the prices of their steaks, which is impressive for a business like that, for a national chain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they had to raise their prices because they didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
All through COVID, that same special was $10.99.
Yeah.
All the way up until I think it was like December or no. It was like March or April of 2021 that they finally had to raise the price up to, I think it was $12.49. And it's periodically gone up like 50 cents each. Yeah. And it's just because the price of beef has gone up.
Yeah.
But they did it because they didn't have a choice.
Right. Like pre-COVID.
Some of these business, like Disney's raising their prices because they want to.
Well, yeah. Disney raised one of the dinners that I went to. I think they raised it at least $20 a person. And they said, oh, we just decided to. And that was pre-COVID. So they're like, everything's going up. So we just decided to do it. And everybody's doing it here. So like it was a $35.99 for a buffet. And I went to the buffet and it was $54.99. And they give you less food, no dipping sauces, and they took flavoring out of a bunch of stuff. So they've lowered the quality of what you get, shrunk the amount of things that you get, and are now charging you almost double. So we're not saying the Texas Roadhouse is giving you any less meat. So like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, really what it comes down to, the brass tacks of it all, and what we're talking about this morning is supply and demand, but you have to create the opportunity for there to be demand on the supply, and you have to respect your people that are involved. In the case of sports, your owners, your players, your fans, and in the case of life in general, your consumers, because I understand the businesses have to make money. I run a business. I totally get that. But I have never had a business model that is about punishing people that have been good to me, especially those that have been with me forever. It's not about punishing. I understand what we need to do, and I do things that I need to do, but I also am a firm believer that when you are running a business, you have to look out. Like I can charge people. I can charge people to listen to certain content that I have. I can take all my recruiting stuff that I used to do for other businesses, and I could start charging you what they charged you, a little bit less, a little bit more. I could go back and forth with that. I can make a preferred broadcast. And I mean, I could have done that for a very long, many years now, But I don't do that because I would rather you give the money to Mother's Cupboard, give the money to the Wildcat, give the money to Honda, give the money to Carvel DeWitt, give the money to Lemoyne, Binghamton, Bryan and Stratton
Yeah.
College of Syracuse, and so on and so forth. Then give
Well,
me a
'cause
couple more dollars. I'd rather you go buy a cheeseburger or go to a game than give
Yeah.
me the $9 that the company I work for used to make us charge people to read a 3-sentence story that I never considered a story.
You're right. And I was literally just about to say that. Like, in that particular case, send it all to them and they'll give it back to you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure you probably put it somewhere in your deals, depending on how much the business grows, you'll get a little bit more. And then the next time, like when they're ready to renew. Right? So, and there's businesses that you've worked with for years that I'm sure when you initially started, they were paying you significantly less than what they are now. Right? But now, you've built a bigger business that's drawing more people to them, right? Like half the businesses that sponsor you've taken me to when I'm up there.
Yeah.
At least the food places.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've taken me to the Wildcat twice. You've taken me to Pizza Man. You've taken me to Carvel DeWitt. You've taken me to oh God. There was one other place you took me. Oh God, I forget now.
I'm trying to think. We went to a lot of places.
I think we were gonna go. I guess it was Mother's Cupboard for breakfast one day, and then we didn't end up not going.
Yeah, and I went there yesterday. That was my yesterday thing, was to go to Mother's Cupboard because I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna come in, and I was talking to one of my friends, and I said, where do you want to go? And we were talking back and forth, and I said, you want to go to Mother's? And she was like, yeah. So we ended up going to Mother's. So
yeah.
Yeah,
but down here, obviously we've got the couple of places that we've been to. I mean, and it depends. Like, it depends on what you're in the mood for. Like, there's other places I could take you other than, Scorecard and Barley Creek, and we'll talk more about that this week before you're down. But, moral of the story though, don't raise your prices just because.
Yeah.
Raise them if you have to.
Right.
Don't raise them just because.
But, and the thing is I always try to, and even in my case, instead of just going, COVID, I say, hey, when you started with us 12 years ago, we had this, this, and this. Now we've added 11 other outlets. We've added a new website. We've added all these other streaming platforms. We've done, we're doing this, this, and this. We've added this team. We've gone here. We've added this exposure. We brought in these people. We brought in this, piece of Central New York, this piece of Upstate New York. We're in the Northeast. Like, I got a million reasons why I can raise them. My whole thing is what we were talking about is, those that raise the price for the sake of raising it, or raise the price because they decided to do something with their business model that people weren't out here going, yeah, go spend $400 million on Avatar so that we can ride 2 rides, but really only ride one of them because the other ride's a joke. So, I mean, I love Disney. I do. And I love going down there. But I also feel every time I walk by the turnstile and I look at the prices, I feel that. I feel sick to my stomach that there were families that could not go in 2006, and now in 2024, they probably couldn't even afford a half a person's ticket, let alone their whole family. And I mean, my buddy told me, he goes, I got my 3-year-old, my wife, and I. My trip was $3,000. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And then that kid's gonna maybe remember a couple things from being 3, and that's it. So
I will say this: the last time I was at Disney was 2008. I mean, I've been down there.
Yeah.
But we won't go because it's too expensive.
It's really expensive.
The last time we went in 2008, my cousin got married. I think it was at one of the hotels in Disney.
Yeah.
So, we went to Disney for a couple of days in the parks. There's still $100 a day back then.
Yeah.
From what I can remember. But that's the last time I've been. I've got no desire to ever go back. Partly because I'm not really much of an amusement park person. Like, I'll ride roller coasters, but I'm not a huge fan of them. But, that's not necessarily something I would go out and pay money to do. Like, why would I go to Disney when I can go to Dorney Park for $30? Or I can go to Hershey Park for $40? Or I just, summertime, go to Camel Beach for, I could get a season pass to Camel Beach for $89 if I wanted to.
Which
Go to the water park.
Which used to be the price of one day at a Disney park.
The price of one day at Disney. Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Ridiculous.
Hey, listen, we got to get better as a country. We got to get women's athletes paid more. We have to get more exposure. And I've been trying to do that since I started my career. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we got just a little bit of time left because I cannot tell you what I'm doing after today, folks, or after the show today, but I can tell you I am filming something with someone that you're going to want to watch that connects to Central and Upstate New York, and it's going to be told in a way that you've never seen before. And I'm doing that right after the show. So we're going to come back. We're going to hit with baseball and the NFL draft quick. We're going to show a few cards, and we're going to get out of here as close as we can to on time, folks. We'll be back right after this, where sports meets life. Hear from our awesome partners in this fast break of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And God bless you as always.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare it to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday Thursday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavocollis.com. That's myAVICOLLIS.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and we thank you for being a part of everything that we do on our social media as well. Of course, you're with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X, the former Twitter, at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT is how you can connect with us, and all of those are right here underneath us. So, with that being said, Murph, we got just a couple minutes with Major League Baseball and the NFL Draft. Notes that we want to make, we'll hit with baseball here. What are your thoughts on whatever's on your mind? I know the Mets are, they did some work with the Dodgers. Thank you from my Diamondbacks, and appreciate that very much so. So, any notes that you'd like to make?
I mean, you kind of just mentioned it right there. Mets, hottest team in baseball. They have won 8 of their last. They are still in third place in the National League East. After all of that, started 0-5. Now they are 12-4 in their last 16 games. Still in third place, 2.5 games behind the first place Atlanta Braves, who, by the way, they did take 2 out of 3 from during this time. But yeah, it's been a fun start to the year. You know, after those first 5 games where we were all worried that this team could not hit, now we're not as concerned, having taken 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, swept the Pirates, 2 out of 3 from the Kansas City Royals, and 2 out of 3 from the Atlanta Braves. So now they continue the West Coast swing. They are going up to San Francisco. They will play the Giants for 3 starting tonight. Then they come back home to play the Cardinals and Cubs to round out the month of April. Now, you know, just looking around Major League Baseball, You see the Cleveland Guardians up there in first place in the AL Central with the best record in baseball. But the team that I think we could talk about a little more simply because of the proximity to where we are located is the New York Yankees. Aaron Judge hasn't exactly had his best start to the year, but Juan Soto has been Juan Soto since he's come to the Yankees. Juan Soto hitting .337, tied for the team lead with 5 home runs, 20 RBI. He's even got a steal. Only 12 strikeouts in his first 83 at-bats in pinstripes, so that's a pretty darn good start for him. Giancarlo Stanton, batting average about what we would expect at .227, but he does have 5 home runs and 10 RBI already. So that's a good start to the year for Stanton. And they've been doing this without Garrett Cole. So Garrett Cole's been out for the first part of the season, and their pitching staff's been okay. Their offseason acquisitions, Marcus Stroman, the big offseason acquisition, Marcus Stroman, has been their best pitcher so far. 2.42 ERA in 22 and a third innings with 19 strikeouts. Nestor Cortez back to doing Nestor Cortez things. 3.41 ERA in 29 innings. And safe to say they have looked pretty good. Carlos Rodon's been okay so far. 3.66 ERA. They really need him to pitch well if they want any chance of making a deep run into the postseason. But looking around this roster, Volpe's had a solid start to the year. Oswaldo Cabrera has been great for them. Hitting .303, 3 home runs already. Not striking out much, driving in runs. And he's been their everyday third baseman so far. So really interesting to see how he's done. But the Yankees have looked good. They really, really have. They're in first place in the American League East, something we have been used to over the course of time here. And, just want to give a quick look at the Baltimore Orioles because especially as we get ready to hop into the card conversation here, Jackson Holliday has just 1 hit in his big league career so far. People are panic selling Jackson Holliday. That is for sure. So if you are a collector, thankfully I sold all my Jackson Holliday stuff, so I don't have any more of it. I capitalized when the market was right. If you've got any Jackson Holliday stuff, don't freak out. Hold on to it. If you don't have Jackson Holliday stuff and people are panic selling, now would be the time to buy. Because his card market has cratered since he's come up to the big leagues. But we all know that when guys get called up, the prices spike. I was able to get almost $13.50 for my Jackson Holliday Bowman First Auto PSA 10. I got $120 for the regular Bowman First. The Chrome Refractor was going for almost $300. Now it's down to like $170 from what I saw the other day. Like if I could get one, if it comes down closer to $150, I'd probably pick a couple up.
It's like my
Even
Kenny Pickett.
Wyatt Langford's prices have come down too.
It's like my Kenny Pickett. Boo.
True, but
my Kenny Pickett was $1,000 when I pulled it out of a
which is
41.
when I told you to sell it.
I bought it from who was I selling it to? From a $41 box. I got a tin. GG Cards and Breaks, $41 tin, $1,000 card.
I mean, you still did well. What I gave you?
180.
180. Yeah, and then I sold it for 190 or something like that. So we all made money.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the important thing. So we all made a couple bucks
I'm
on
happy
it.
with that.
But
it's
don't,
funny.
but don't
funny
panic sell Jackson Holliday, people. Do not panic sell Jackson Holliday. He was the number 1 prospect in baseball for a reason. Yeah. Give it some time.
Yeah, but you got to change what you're saying. Do not panic sell Jackson Holliday unless you're selling it to Murph.
Yeah, you can panic sell it to me. I'm happy to buy Jackson Holliday.
I might buy Jackson Holiday if somebody wants to get rid of it. But
Wyatt Langford too. His prices have come down too, and I've sold all my Wyatt. When I sold out of all my stuff, I sold all my Wyatt stuff. So my big auto was in there, and I made money on that, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got more Wyatts coming back from grading, so I've got more of them. The Bowman papers that I have, I think 4 of. I had sold one the day he got called up for $80. $80.
Yeah.
They now go for like 40 a piece.
I'm surprised that there's any Wyatt
That's why
Langfords
you
left.
sell prospects on the day they get called up.
I'm just surprised that there's any Wyatt Langford product left after you bought it. I'm surprised there's anything in circulation right now.
I know. I bought so much, but I made a ton of money on Wyatt Langford, man.
Yeah, I know.
I made so much money on Wyatt Langford.
I'm not knocking what you did. I'm just saying
it was insane.
there's at least a
I did
third
really
of the country.
well on Wyatt.
Well, I just think about it like this: there's at least a third of the country that did not have any Wyatt Langford in any card shops because of Brendan Murphy.
Because I had it all.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are people in Utah
And I got
going,
more. And I
"Who's
got more
Wyatt
of it
Langford?"
coming back. Hey, I've got a so Topps now does cards for when guys get called up and everything, right?
Yeah. They also do a Topanga card.
Yeah. I should be getting in the mail today. I got 20 of his Topps Now MLB debut cards on opening day. I'm going to send them all out to get graded.
Yeah.
10s will probably be $30, $40. 9s will probably be about what I paid for.
I saw some of those Topps Now cards at the Fishtown show, and I looked at the prices of them. They're like somebody had a card for $5, the same person another person had the exact same card for 20. And I was like, "Come on, guys."
So here's the big thing with them. If you buy them in bulk, you get better deals.
Yeah.
So I bought 5 Jackson Churios too, partly just to get to the free shipping number.
Yeah.
But I got 5 of the Jackson Churios as well that ran me, I think they were $7 a card.
Yeah.
If you just buy one, it's $9.99. The 20 Wyatts I got, I think I paid $4 a card or $4.50 a card.
Yeah.
So even if I sold them raw, I could. They're basically $8 to $10 cards. So I'll sell them. I buy them raw for $4. I'll sell them for $8 or $9.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of double my money, but
yeah.
At the same time, I'm gonna grade them.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see.
Yeah.
But what also can happen is in those print runs, they can send out numbered cards.
Yeah.
So I got 20 coming.
And different colors.
I might get a numbered card out of there. I'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
If I get a numbered card, it's going to be worth a lot more. And they're thrown in randomly, so who knows?
But
they might throw them in. They might throw them in mine. I would love it if I got one thrown in mine, or 2.
So,
or maybe the 1 of 1.
You could.
If I get the 1 of 1, that'd be nice.
The Topangas had different versions. I know that. But we're going to hit a couple things here. We talked about the Yankees. Talked about the Mets. My Diamondbacks are a game and a half behind the Dodgers, and they are a half a game behind the San Diego Padres right now. The way things look at this moment, the worst team in baseball is, drum roll please, Chicago White Sox, not the Oakland A's, baby. Chicago White Sox are 3-18. Yuck. The Minnesota Twins are 7-13. And the Oakland Athletics are 8-14. The Houston Astros are 7-16. A little bit of
How about that?
Shocker there. Miami Marlins, who made the postseason last year as the last team to get in, are 6-17. The St. Louis Cardinals, are 9-13, and the Colorado Rockies are 5-17. The keepers of the best record in baseball belongs to the Cleveland Guardians at 16-6, followed by the New York Yankees 15-7 at the time of conversation. NFL draft, folks, this Thursday. Big time news for you. You can do the draft in Central and Upstate New York unlike anywhere else you're going to be. You don't have to watch a draft show. You're going to be at a draft show when you come this Thursday, April 25th, at 6 p.m. to Pizza Man Pub, 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. For the 3rd year in a row, Al Romano and I will be on stage at Pizza Man unveiling our mock draft. The draft starts at 8 o'clock. Our mock draft starts at 6. So we will be with you 2 hours before the draft, going picks 1 through 32. Al and I will be giving ours back and forth, 1, 2, all the way down to 32. He won't see my list. I won't see his list. We will be analyzing the draft, giving you our predictions like we've done the last couple of years, and we'll be at Pizza Man. So on draft night, pizza, wings, drinks. If you're going to drink alcohol, please be of age and drink responsibly. But coming in there, pizza, wings, drinks, fun, draft. It's like sitting in a draft room and being a part of the draft cast as opposed to watching it. So make sure you come out. And if you can't be in town and you're somewhere around the world and you want to watch a draft show, well, we got one for you. And it'll be on all of our same channels, youtube.com, facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com for internet streaming radio. Our draft cast comes to you 2 hours before the draft on draft night. And for those of you in the community, come out to 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York, to Pizza Man for what I love, which is, I mean, I love their pizza, love the sweet heat, love the hot honey, my extra crispy, absolutely amazing lemon pepper wings. And Al and I will be sitting on stage breaking down the first round of the draft. And it starts with the Chicago Bears. They have the first and the 9th pick. The Commanders have the second. Patriots, Cardinals, Chargers, Giants, Titans, Falcons. Then after the Bears, the Jets are number 10. There is a good shot that the Jets get Brock Bowers if the Titans don't take Brock Bowers. And potentially,
I think the Titans will go O-line.
So
I think that would make sense.
see. Chicago
That would make
quarterback,
sense for them.
Washington quarterback, New England quarterback. I believe Arizona is going to trade down to the 11th spot so that Minnesota can come up to pick number 4 and take a quarterback. I believe that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to the Chargers, and I will be giving you no more information because I want you to come out to the show. So, Murph, any thoughts on the Jets' 10th overall pick? Quick here, as we just have a couple minutes. I want to make sure we get to the cards, but the Jets are picking in the top 10. My Jaguars are picking 17. I believe we go O-line or D-line, and I've circled the name Jared Verse among maybe some other ideas, but who do you have at number 10?
I would love to see, and it really comes down to if the receivers make it to 10. You know, there's rumblings that, you know, Rome Odunze can make it to number 10. If Rome Odunze makes it to 10, I think they take him. Otherwise, I think it's going to be Bowers. It sounds more and more likely that they are not going to go offensive line because they want to get Aaron Rodgers a playmaker, because Aaron Rodgers is going to be in on the decision. This is going to be the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career that his team is going to draft him a legitimate pass catcher in the first round.
Yeah.
So safe to say that will be pretty good. Now, like I said last week, anything but edge rusher. But I would be all in for a receiver or Brock Bowers. I also wouldn't be shocked to see them move down. There's rumblings that some teams want to come up. Maybe the Colts want to come up to 15, or from 15, and maybe the Jets slide back 5 spots and pick up a second-round pick. If they do that, I'd be okay with that too. I've also seen, and I haven't seen this as much recently, but we've also seen some potential inklings that maybe they convince the Chargers to move down, and they move up to 5 to take Marvin if the quarterbacks go to 4, 1 through 4. But it really depends on what they're gonna, on what happens, unfolds ahead of them, right? I mean, I think in my head I would probably say Rome Odunze is my first choice at number 10. I do think he will make it to number 10. If they were to go Brock Bowers, I would not be opposed. I think either one of them would be a great compliment to Garrett Wilson. And, you know, now they're getting Corey Davis back. They've got Mike Williams as well. Mike Williams doesn't have to necessarily rush back if they get a Dunze. You bring in Brock Bowers, you can maybe look to trade Jack Conklin. Tyler Conklin. I do that all the time. Jack Conklin also was a offensive lineman. Yeah, I would probably either say Rome Odunze or Brock Bowers at 10. I'd be thrilled with either one of those. I wouldn't mind a trade back because then maybe they can go receiver in round 2. Ricky Pearsall out of Florida is a name to watch for them there. But this is a loaded wide receiver class. I wouldn't even hate it if they moved back, took a receiver in round 1, and then took another receiver in round 2. But there's also, Bowers could also still fall. Bowers could fall to 15. They trade back to 15, Bowers falls. Take Bowers at 15, and you pick up a second-round pick. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But if they stick at 10, I think it's either going to be Odunze or Brock Bowers.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. By the way, folks, you could vote in our poll on X at CallDT, the former Twitter, CALLDT. If you were the Washington Commanders, who do you take between these two, Jaden Daniels or Drake May? It started out heavy Daniels, then it flipped to May. Currently this morning, it is dead heap, 50-50. So who are you taking if you're the Washington Commanders? Are you taking Jaden Daniels or Drake May? You could vote in our poll on X as well as any polls that we put up there at CallDT. That's CALLDT. And Jaguars, like I said, I'm going to save my stuff for the mock draft for you to come out and see us at Pizza Man this Thursday, April 25th at 6 o'clock on draft night. But I will tell you that I've already discussed the Jaguars a bit. I think they should go heavy offensive and defensive line. I think that defensive line, the way that the draft seems like it's going to go, with a lot of quarterbacks, wide receivers, maybe Brock Bowers in there, some offensive linemen, maybe a defensive guy, maybe an edge rusher, that there's going to be a ton of opportunities at 17 to go O-line, D-line. And so I do see value in doing that, and some of the guys that could fall to them. And, Jared Verse not going to the Colts where they have to go against the Jaguars twice, but that if he goes past that Jacksonville should look at taking him. So,
two not so hot takes real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Giants do not take a quarterback. They will take Malik Neighbors or Marvin, whoever makes it to them.
Yeah.
And the Vikings will trade up for a quarterback.
Yeah, I think
and it will be J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I have. I have the Vikings trading up to 4, taking J.J. at number 4. Arizona trades down. Arizona's got some stuff. Well, Minnesota's got 2 picks.
Arizona could always trade back up to get Marvin too.
They could.
They could always, if the Chargers pass, they can always trade back up with the Giants to go get him.
They could,
but I don't think the Giants would pass on that chance.
I don't think the Chargers are going to pass, but that's what I think. I think ultimately Jim Harbaugh is going to get himself the guy that he had to coach against a lot, and that being Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to be able to reel him in because they need a receiver. They need a couple of receivers in Los Angeles for the Chargers. Card time went to GG Cards and Breaks, and it went to trade night, and I got this really cool refractor. Guys, and I got to thank them for this. They give me gifts. They're just like, and I think pretty much every trade night I've been to, I think it's been everyone, somebody in the community that is a total stranger or someone I got to know, someone who listens to the show after I talk to them or knew about the show before or knows Anthony and Josh, or it's Anthony and Josh themselves. I always end up with a gift when I go to the shows, and I can't thank you enough. And I gave some gifts away this time around as well. This is a numbered rookie Snoop Connor running back for the Jaguars.
Great name.
Refractor
Great
here.
name.
Yeah, Snoop Connor. So I got a numbered one. Thanks, Curtis. And I got this from one of the guys that I traded with for the first time, an autograph of Snoop Connor, who decided to put South Carolina on there, SC. And then I got this card. I've never seen this specific insert. It is blue, red, and yellow. It's the rated rookie chrome insert, but it's 3-colored and it's a refractor, and it's of Leonard Fournette. And this is from my guy that works at the Wildcat Sports Pub, Shane. So shout out to Shane. And then this was given to me when I got there, and it's really cool because it has a license plate on the back here. It is a rookie card, and it actually came into GG Cards and Breaks. And Josh was talking to Anthony, and he goes, we should probably get this sent to get graded. Like, this could get a 10. And Anthony goes, or you can just give it to Dan. So I might get this graded. It's a Fred Taylor sitting down here, kind of like the basketball ones they had. So that was given from Josh and Anthony, and I may very well get it graded. My other ones to show you that I picked up in trades for this upcoming Fishtown show is an absolute green parallel rookie card of Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
I picked up the case hit refractor United States flag of Lamar Jackson.
That's a cool one.
I picked up a star refractor out of 299 rookie card of Tank Dell. Okay. These are all grade worthy too. That's why I picked them up. And then I have.
Well, here's the thing. Anything that you want to grade, leave it with me, especially because the end of the month, I'm sending out a big order.
Yeah.
So if you want any cards graded that you get or that you have, leave them with me. I will make sure that I send them out in this order.
So I appreciate that. And then I have this refractor of Anthony Richardson's rookie as well. You can't really see the refractor. Well, you can kind of see it there. And then I picked up this one. This is actually, I didn't know it was numbered. It's numbered to 199, and it's a patch of Mike Piazza.
Oh, love that.
Michael.
That's going to stay with me.
And I wanted to buy the box that I would have to pull this from, and I ended up trading for it, so I didn't have to buy the box, and I'm really excited about it. I don't think this is going to stay in my collection for long. This is a CJ Stroud rookie from one of the from the wild card boxes that they have at GG Cards.
That's pretty cool.
So and it comes.
I think wild cards from Leaf, but that's pretty cool.
And it comes in this case already like taped
Yep.
shut and all that good stuff. So this card has not been touched, and so so I pulled in some good stuff at this trade night. I traded and traded some things. I'm okay. I gotta get there's an RPA that I traded away, but now I'm going to be searching for another one, and that's all right. It was kind of PC for me, but that's okay. But I got Stroud.
I do my best not to bring the PC to shows.
I got Stroud and
just because I'm not
Richardson,
tempted to get rid of him. Yeah,
but I don't.
That's fair enough.
I don't think this one's going to come home with me, and it'll be at the show. I know that like every set of eyes that came up to the stage at the Wildcat stopped.
If someone doesn't buy it, I probably will.
Yeah, it has not. Every single person that came up to look at my collection stopped on that card, and they're like, "What do you want for that?" So like that was the conversation. So I was like, I think Murph has to see it again, and I'm gonna bring it out to the show.
Yeah.
But this
it's a huge card though.
It's
also a very thick patch.
Okay, look at this card. Look at that thickness of that, and then look at that monster. That looks like 50 cards together. That thing is ridiculous.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I
got. I will primarily be buying at Fishtown. I mean, I've got stuff that I'm going to be putting out to sell, but if you're going to be in the area, if you're going to come down to the Fishtown Card Show, tables 119 and 120, I will primarily be buying. So feel free to bring me your cards. I will take a look and see what I'm interested in. But I will most likely be buying a lot all day. Probably doing the same thing I did the last Fishtown show because I got bought out right before. So I'll be doing very similar to the same exact thing this time. So looking forward to seeing some of you there.
Yeah, and this is going to stay in the PC. I just want to show it because I love it. This is Jeremy Grant, who I consider a friend, who I've gotten to know, and it's been a minute since we have talked, but I always appreciate Jeremy. I spoke with him when he wasn't even playing that much at Syracuse, and I don't have any other cards like this, and I love his signature, and it's a gold signature of Jeremy.
That's
Grant.
Cool.
So,
yeah, that's cool.
Mr. Jeremy, I got a couple of Mr. Grants, and these all stay in the PC. Don't mind the price on this one, but this is a gold refractor rookie card of Pat Corbin with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So
gold sparkle, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I keep these, and then this is going to go to Murph. Let's see here, this one right there. There it is. Not going to voluntary workouts. And I have to bring this one down. I actually have to put this in a top loader, but this one, the special insert of former wrestler Brock Lesnar, red, white, and blue refractor.
That's cool.
So
that's cool.
Lesnar's going to be coming with me. I got stuff all over the studio, my office. I got some work to do before I get down there, but I'm excited for it.
Price your cards first.
I was just going to say that, Murph. Thanks, Mom. But yes, I will price them before I come down so that I go to bed. And but we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, please don't show up. Let's not do the whole 2 hours of sleep for you again.
Yeah. Fishtown, we'll see you Sunday, April 28th. We'll be there all throughout the morning and the afternoon. And tables 119, 120 right when you walk in. We look forward to seeing you. And we appreciate everybody that came up last time. Look forward to having you out here this time. And making some history, having some fun with everybody. I also have my cards there so you guys could check out the show. And Murph will have his. And we'll see you in just a few days.
Well, what little I have. But pretty much everything I'm going to have is coming back.
You'll have a business card. Yeah.
But pretty much everything I'm going to have will be from my from the order that I just made.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm probably going to go pick it up. It's not. I don't think it's ready to be picked up yet. But whenever it is, I will head over to Dollar General and grab them. I'll probably have them at some point before the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it'll be pretty good. I got some fun stuff coming back in there.
Yeah, we got some awesome stuff coming up. We'll see you at the Fishtown Card Show in Philadelphia this coming Sunday, April 28th. Murph, in the meantime, have a beautiful day, and God bless as always.
Yes, sir.
Take care. Yeah, coming from Mr. Murphy, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take our final step aside here on the show, and we'll wrap things up right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your sports card shop. You can go there for all of your sports card needs, and make sure that you head out there to 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, 7 days a week. They are open for you Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sundays from 10 to 5, you will find hockey, basketball, baseball, soccer, AEW, as well as UFC, all sport, right there on site, on location, football, basketball, baseball, and so on and so forth. All of it there at GG Cards and Breaks at any given time. And they could sell out of what they have coming in. So they get a new baseball box. They let you know. We share it on social media. It could be gone later on that afternoon. So make sure you get out to GG Cards and Breaks ASAP. And, of course, all of their awesome products that come through in singles, graded cards, packs, and boxes can be changing daily and weekly. So you want to make sure to get into 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. They also have Disney Lorcana and Pokemon, and they also have Marvel cards. So you can go in and see so many different things. And whether you're in the trading card gaming world, trading card world in general of collecting, or in the sports card world, you can be a part of the hobby at GG Cards and Breaks, where we all get to be big kids on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big time thanks to our wonderful partners. You can visit all of our partners in Central and Upstate New York by going to these wonderful locations, and that being Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, and where I was yesterday, Mother's Cupboard. Of course, we're the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Dolphins during Dolphin Time on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Wednesday of each month, AD&DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Second and fourth Wednesday, you'll find the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. And you can find all that content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course find the Lemoyne Dolphins playlist. For more information, you can also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab, and you can go to LemoyneDolphins.com as well. As always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Bobcats every single month right here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with student athletes, coaches, and administration joining us throughout the year in what we call the Bobcat Buzz. Men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, baseball, which is going on right now, and esports. You will find the Bobcat Buzz specials, our roundtables, our panel discussions, as well as our on-site discussions with the wonderful people making up Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, which has campuses on James Street in Syracuse and right off of Route 57 in Liverpool. Find the Bobcats on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you will also find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You can find the Bobcats by going to our wakeupcalldt.com main website on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you so very much for your connection with the Binghamton University Bearcats, and you will find them during Bearcat Time Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with our two specials, one called Moments with Marshall, which airs every single month, featuring Binghamton University Athletics Director Gene Marshall, and the Bearcat Break Room, where we speak with student athletes, coaches, and administration, telling their stories on their journey to Binghamton, what Binghamton means to them, and truly what that Bearcat program has done for them and what it has been like to be on campus and to put on the green and black and appreciate the awesome Bearcat community. So it's all about the community. It's all about learning about their stories and growing with the Binghamton University Bearcats. You can find all of our content with the Binghamton University Bearcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, hit subscribe and the notification bell. You'll also find our Binghamton University playlist. You can find them on wakeupcalldt.com as well on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. And of course, you can find Binghamton by going to bubearcats.com. As always, go Bearcats. With that being said, you can see I got a little shirt change here for the special that we're going to be filming coming off of this broadcast. We appreciate you so very much. I will see you tomorrow morning. I have an awesome special coming up with you tomorrow morning. Cannot wait. Cartier Shepard is going to be joining me, 2025 offensive tackle, committing to Syracuse from Cicero, North Syracuse. Cannot wait to air that special with you. Looking forward to sharing it. Thanks to Brendan Murphy, all of our conversations. Big time shout outs to all of the wonderful people that we got to celebrate today and speak about. And so a big time shout out to Nelly Corda, as well as Scotty Scheffler and everybody out there doing awesome things. Let's get women's athletics to make some more money and get some more exposure. That's been important to me, and it continues to be important to me. So God bless to you all, and let's get softball and some of these other ones out there as well. So be it field hockey and so on and so forth. Thanks to Brendan. Thanks to you. Find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And as always, God